Hi there, a very good morning and good afternoon to all of you, depending on wherever you're watching me. This is Simply Stocks, and I'm live in this live session with you all. A day late, I wanted to be online yesterday, but there were some emergencies and some things that cropped up. So could not get online in the evening as well. But hopefully, this time around today, we'll have a 30-35 minute session in which we'll discuss about some of the pointers for the market and about stocks as well. And we'll also discuss about and answer your queries. And we'll discuss about specifically about Sequent Scientific. You would have seen the headlines that I put up. This is one of the stocks that I hold at the moment. So we'll discuss about that as well. Let more people join in the first 5 minutes, and we'll come to the Sequent Scientific point. Shivakumar, a very good morning to you, and morning to all of you. And hopefully, the long weekend is going well. Most of you might be having a vacation or just laying back. So, probably in the next few days, you'll get recharged for all your jobs and whatever jobs that you are doing. And good luck with your work that you are up to. And hopefully, you're investing side by side into the market. Nagesh, good morning. Venkat, a very good morning to you. Uh, as far as the weather is concerned, on a lighter note, it's pretty fine here. It's cloudy and it's pretty good compared to what is it in the plains and south. So glad to be here, and it is at least 6 to 8 degrees lesser than what we have in the plains in this heat that has started. So probably we will have the monsoon on time by end of May or mid-May in the south, and by June here in the north. So hopefully those things will be taken care of, and that will be very good for the markets as well, because economically we require a very good monsoon. We are still an agricultural economy, so hopefully that will also augur well for the markets. Uh, all right, so I'll discuss about the markets a little bit, and then we will come to the point of Sequence Scientific and what needs to be done. And there's one more point I want to discuss in this live session, and that narrates to the last session that I did, in which I said that if you are losing 30-40% in a holding, it's better to sell. But it is not meant on a blanket sell on all holdings if you are down 30 to 40%. So we'll discuss the finer points of the same in this discussion. Hopefully in the next couple of minutes, more people would join in. That's why I'm waiting for that. I know you would have been waiting in the morning and evening yesterday for the session, but there are some commitments that cropped up in the morning, and it went on till evening. So was busy with that, with everything. Plus there is Ramzan, so a little bit tiredness is always there by afternoon and late afternoon. So it becomes extremely difficult to put up a session in the evening. That's what I have realized now. Uh, so that's how it was. So now I'm online, and hopefully this will be an half an hour session in which we'll discuss all the points, and I'll answer your queries as well. Uh, so let's get going. I'll talk about the markets first. As far as the markets are concerned, we are at around 17,400. Again, the markets have declined from the highs, and we are at a very decent level. Although I must say that there is a lot of greed in the market still, especially in the mid and small cap. So I won't be surprised if we see 100 200 points more downside on the Nifty, and greater downside in the mid and small cap. But overall, the market seems good, and this is the kind of a market that will make money for retail investors. If this market remains in a range between 17,200 on the lower end to 17,800 on the upper end, in this 600 point range, and if there are no you can say hiccups from you can say a geopolitical scenario, from global scenario, then we could be headed much higher on mid caps and most of the mid and small caps that most of the retail investors hold. We might not be making new highs, but what we'll be doing is that we'll be having stock specific moves, and those stocks will be making new highs, as we saw even on you can say Wednesday, when we saw a lot of stocks making new highs and going good. So that will continue. Look at companies which have produced good results for the last 2 quarters and which are ready to produce even better results in the next 2 3 quarters. There are companies in that domain, and and trade into the market. So why I'm saying that is that this is not a market for investors at the moment. Although if you want to invest 6 8 10 years time frame, yes, you can find bargain here, there and everywhere. But overall it doesn't seem like that you'll be able to get a lot of bargain. You'll get bargains in situations where uh, markets nosedive, markets go to a extreme volatile scenario that we saw in February, that we saw. So I'm not talking of the pandemic time, but in February we got very good levels for most of the small caps, even in the mid cap IT domain and other places. So wait for those opportunities to accumulate. Yes, you can continue with your SIPs in the big ones. Say if you are having Reliance, TCS, etc., you can always probably have a scenario in which you can continue with your investments. But overall, if you look, if you want a real bargain, say 30 40% lower overall in the market, then you need to wait for very difficult scenarios in the market to get into. So that's about the market. I think it would be range bound between 17,200 to 17,800 levels. And you need to trade into this market to make money over a 3 to 6 months period. All right. Now coming to the point, the basic point that I wanted to discuss with you, and this regards to Sequent Scientific. I mean, Sequent Scientific has been one of the stocks that I have liked. I have been holding. I have held earlier, made money in that stock, and I have bought again at lower levels when it fell from 330 all the way to 180 and so on and so forth. Now, what has happened here is that one of the top management, that is the CFO, has resigned probably yesterday or 1 or 2 days back, and he would probably uh, be replaced by end of May. Now there are two ways to look at this, and I'm looking at it more positively. Although the markets would, in the short run, in a very short run, say in the next 1 week, would look at this scenario in a very negative manner. So that's what I feel. But if you look at the overall scenario for the company, what has gone on in the last 6 months, there have been a lot of management reshuffling and Carlyle getting into the group. Uh, so that is one way. I mean, Carlyle being part of Sequence Scientific in that big way, that it holds a majority stake and it governs whatever happens on the board. I have full faith on it, and probably Carlyle wants that the management in the top management needs to be changed, and that's why people from Sanofi are getting in there. So we have a MD that is coming from Sanofi and would have started operations from 10th or 11th of April, and immediately we see that the CFO resigns. So maybe uh, uh, the top management altogether would be changed completely over the next 1 quarter, 2 quarters, and we'll see the effect of that on the numbers going forward. So there are a lot of things that is going on. So I'll give a sequence some time, at least 2 to 3 quarters, for it to perform. That is the best way to probably look at this scenario and this aspect of what has taken place. All right. Anurag, thanks for your contribution. Dada profit book करके portfolio से okay. Uh, profit book कर लें क्या पोर्टफोलियो से? If you are having very good profits with respect to the time frame, suppose you have been invested for a couple of years and you're making very good handsome profits of 60-70%, yes. But if this is a long term portfolio and you want to build on it, then build on to this portfolio rather than booking profit. So you can take any which way. तो अगर आपका प्रॉफिट पिछले 2 साल में बहुत हुआ है, या 1 साल में, या जितना भी टाइम फ्रेम है उसमें आपको लगता है कि प्रॉफिट्स बहुत हो गए हैं, तो बिल्कुल बुक करिए। अगर वो प्रॉफिट्स कम अगर वो प्रॉफिट्स हुए लेकिन आपका टाइम फ्रेम 5, 6, 8, 10 साल का है इन्वेस्टमेंट का, तो आप वो कभी नहीं करिए, और आप इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को बढ़ाइए जब भी मार्केट नीचे आए, बहुत ज़्यादा नीचे आए। So that's my call here, and thank you for your contribution. So basically, the other way to look at it is that CFO has resigned. There could be some, you can say, misrepresentations of numbers. There could be some financial issues that are going on with the company, and that's why he has resigned. And those things would crop up in the days to come. The markets could take in that manner and could hammer the stock all the way to 120, even 100 rupees. I don't know where it could go. But seeing that such a large group, which is a mega investor globally, has invested into this company, I doubt that there are any, you can say, number fudging or anything that is going on. So I take it positively. I believe that the top management would change completely, and Carlyle will take the company forward, and we'll see numbers cropping in. So Sequent did produce very decent numbers for the December quarter. It is believed that FY23 could be big. So if we can hold on till December, I think, barring one or two knee-jerk reactions and these kind of falls, accidents you would call it, in the very short term, I think we could be headed towards at least 220, 230, if not more, on the stock by December. So my take is that I'll be holding on to the stock. Uh, I think it has gone from 330 all the way to 120, may go to 100. That means it would have fallen 75% from the top. I don't see more downside. So at most, I see a 20% downside from here at the worst. But that is also is going to be short lived. So in my opinion, what could happen on Monday is that the stock may fall 10, 12 rupees within half an hour or 1 hour, and then heavy buying would come in. That's what I feel. Remember that even White Oak Capital, which is a large group into investments, is now part of the Sequent family, and have bought a 4.5% stake. There are large investors invested into the stock. So yes, things could go. I'm sorry, things could go very bad, and yes, it could be possible that if there is number fudging, we could go the manpasand way. But I doubt that. I don't think that that's probably the majority chance that could happen. So that's my call on Sequent. Coming to the second point that I wanted to discuss, and this is with regard to when I said in the live session on Sunday that even if you're losing 30-40% in a stock, then it's better to book losses now. See, suppose you bought a Asian Paints in, say, January of 2019, and the stock at that point was around 1900 or 2000 rupees, and I don't know the exact price, but it was around that. And the stock fell all the way to 1450 or something like that. It was down 25-28%. You don't sell an Asian Paints 28% down. You buy it. So those people who bought at 1450, 1500 doubled their money within 6-8 months. So point here is you have to go the stock specific way, and no one way fits everything. But if you believe that you are down 30-40% in a company which is debt laden, in a company that things are changing, they have changed their stance with respect to business, the business way has changed, something has changed completely, say more debt has come in, or they have gone into different business streams which they were not going earlier. They have said something about the next 2-3 quarters which they had not said earlier, that they're not going to do well there. So you could be stuck with that position for 2 to 3 quarters. That's 9 months loss. That is what I am trying to say. And if you are smart enough, you could lose that 30% invest into something else for 9 months and make 10-15% over 30%. So that is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that everything that goes down 30-40% and has a firm reason for it to go down and you still sell the stock. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you believe that in the next 6 to 8 months the recovery may not happen, then it could be a chance that over that 8 month period, if you're down 30%, you might be down 50%. And then even if the recovery happens, the stock has to double to take you to that position. Suppose you bought something at 100, it's at 70, and for the next 2 quarters, there's no chance of numbers improving. The stock may go to 50, may not go, may go to 50, but it's not going anywhere higher. From there to double the stock, even if the for the stock to double, even if the numbers improve, it would take another year. So that means you're losing 1.5 years for getting your price back, rather than losing 30% and investing into something else for 1.5 years and probably making 40-50% on that, and so on and so forth. You would make more than what you lose at that point of time. So hopefully you understand that. But if you buy something that is down 30-40% because of some fundamental reason, because the market down, because of the industry facing some headwinds, and that headwinds would go away within 1 quarter or so, I think the stock will perform very well. So for instance, if you have bought into say a Jubilant Foodworks, for example, and this is not a recommendation. For example, you bought a Jubilant Foodworks at 3500, the stock went to 25-2600, you were down something like 28%. You I won't say you sell. If you have a 2 year time frame, the stock will come back into reckoning again. So that is where you have to take a call. So probably this inflation thing would go away in the next 6 to 8 months, and over 2 years you might see Jubilant Foodworks at 6,000. So you have to take stock specific calls. You cannot just sell everything and anything that is down 30-40%. You have to take stock specific call. But what people do is that in most of the stocks, when they are down 30%, in most of the cases those stocks are down 30% because of some fundamental change that has happened in the company, and they don't exit the stock thinking that a recovery would take place. Ravi, thanks for your contribution. Is there incoming recession due to yield, etc., yield curve and all? See, in the US, there could be a situation of 1 or 2 quarters of recession. That's what I feel. In India, I don't want to say much because the numbers before the pandemic wasn't that great in terms of growth, and that's why I'm investing more into export oriented companies, and I have always invested into companies which are not related to economy at all. I have invested into companies which are consumer oriented and consumers are buying. I mean, not related to economy in a direct manner. So I'm not invested into, and I try to avoid stocks which are into capital goods, infrastructure, real estate, etc. Somewhere here and there I buy, but now after what has happened with Godrej properties, etc., I might not buy at all. I avoid government stocks. I have seen government stocks do so well. So what you can do is you buy into stories, stock specific stories, rather than looking at a holistic view of whether the economy is going to be in recession or not, or this, because we are beyond recession in an economy or a growth in an economy. We are in a very, very fragile geopolitical situation. So what has happened in Russia is something we cannot ignore. In Russia and Ukraine, that could just crop up in Taiwan, China, that could just crop up here in our borders as well. And there are issues globally. So what has happened escalated in Sri Lanka. I'm not saying can happen here in India or anywhere else, but what has happened in Sri Lanka will have a cascading effect all over Asia, if you look at it. So we have gone beyond the situation where we can just simply look at whether a country can go into recession or not and how things will shape up. And that is why we have to be nimble footed and try to probably invest for a shorter term period apart from investing from a longer term period. So that's my call on this recession point. Anurag, your query is about Tata Elxsi profit 250% should book long term view. Long term view is very positive, but if you have made 250% in a year, then you book your profits. Why I say that is that if you invest into a company, then probably you should look for maximum 18% CAGR over 4 5 years. Now 18% over 4 years is a doubler. You have made 250%. That would take at least 8 years in a normal company, in a normal return scenario, for you to make. And that is why it is better to book profits, absolutely. And so I wouldn't have said that if I had a different stance that I had a couple of years back. But now I'll say absolutely book your profits. Wait for declines to 6,600, 6,500 whenever that comes in, or 7,000 to 6,500, and then invest again. At least you'll make a very good profit, and then you invest thinking that you'll make 18 to 20% CAGR. And if it doubles again within a year or 2 years, then again book your profit. So that's the call. Long term, very positive on Tata Elxsi, but has run up a lot in the short run. You're getting profits, take profits off. All right. So that's the call on taking losses. You have to analyze the company. You have to analyze the short term future of the company with respect to numbers and whether the stock will perform or not, and then take a call. That's the point. You cannot just leave losses or profits on the table just like that. All right, so I'm ready to answer your queries. Kindly use the super chat and super sticker feature that will help me grow the channel. That will help you also ask me questions and eke out answers in greater detail. Also, if you would like me to look at the stocks you're holding, or you need a conversation with me with that respect, you can email me and we can set up a time and we can discuss that as well. If you want that, if you're not able to pay on Patreon, you can email me. There are other ways to pay as well. You can take the YouTube membership, you can take the WhatsApp membership if you want that. So that's the call. The only thing I want to say here is that only serious investors kindly come into any sort of group. I don't provide intraday tips, anything, or even very short term tips. I provide either a 6 to 9 months investment time horizon kind of stocks when I analyze, or very long term viewpoints and answer your queries. So that's the call. Again, I want to have a disclaimer here that I'm not a member of NSC and BSc, and whatever I discuss here is purely for educational purposes. Whatever I discuss on WhatsApp or on Patreon, etc., is for educational purposes. And any financial, you can say, initiative you take on that discussion is purely on your end and individualistic. So that's my call. So ready to answer your queries. uh, so KPIT, a disclaimer, I have the stock. I believe that it's a 800 rupees stock over the next 2 3 quarters. Hold on to the stock. Yes, it has fallen, may just stabilize over the next 1 week and then go up. So hold on to the stock. That's the call on that. uh, See, 9,000, I think at least 7,500 to 8,000 is possible on L&T Infotech. If you have bought, so kindly hold on to the stock for a target of 7,500 to 8,000, and that's where you could book profit. If it goes the Tata Elxsi way, then of course 9,000 is very much possible, even beyond that. So that is a possibility, but probability is of a 7,500 over the next 6 months. Havels is a good stock. I mean, it is at a very reasonable level, but see, what has happened is that other companies in the same domain, like Polycab, etc., has been doing well and is currently doing well. So what happens is these stocks, other stocks which are losing in competition, go into a slumber, go into a consolidation. So yes, you can buy. It's a very good investment bet, but for trading, I won't say that it will do very well. So investments, yes, Havels is good. So GNA Axle is a very good company to invest into. Now, autos, I can say that if you ask me about any auto company, auto ancillary company, you have to be patient, because I think the next 2 quarters are gone as well, and because of the inflation thing, because of the semiconductor issue and many other issues. I think this year is gone, and from FY23, sorry, FY24 onwards, we need to look. So probably avoid for the next 6 8 months. Look at the overall scenario. It's better to buy something 20 30% higher rather than holding on to something lower and not making any money for 6 to 9 months. Tell me if I'm wrong in that or not. So SHIL, again, a company that has said that the next 2 quarters will not be that great. Similarly, Dixon has said the same thing. So I believe long term, very good stock. If I had money separately, whatever money, if I had a decent money separately to invest into for the next 5 to 7 years, definitely would have bought into it. But over the next 1 year, may not perform even from here. And I think good time to buy would be by the end of the year. Sangam India, I don't know much about, so I won't be able to comment on that. TCS looks good. I think TCS around 3600 should be bought. The results are good. Infosys, the results were not that great, so TCS will perform even better. I think these are good levels to buy for a target of 4500 over the next 1 year or so. So over the next 1 year, I see 4500 on TCS coming in. So that's the call on TCS. FL is pretty good for long term from these. Again, a disclaimer, I have the stock in my trading portfolio. FL around 1200, 1220 are very good levels to get into FL, even from a long term point of view. Tanla, I'm not that sure. It is expensive, it has come down. It might just remain in a range between 1500 to 2000 or 1300 to 1800, like that. But FL is something that could be bought from a long term point of view. Yes. Avoid persistent system. I've looked at the numbers and the way the stock is behaving. There are other very good quality stocks. So if you ask me, LTTS is good at 4500. For a month, well, for 6 months it's good. For a month it's difficult. I thought you asked for 1 month. I think again a good 20% upside possible on LTTS. Uh, Similarly, I see a 20% upside in something like LTI as well. So it's good. So my picks in the mid cap IT domain are and not in any order, but just like that. So they are Birlasoft, LTTS, LTI. You have Tata Elxsi, and you have something like Mastech. They are pretty good. KPIT. These are good. And FL, if you take it as an IT company, they are very good companies to get into. See, Coforge hasn't come out with very good numbers. It might remain in a range if you can buy. So, if you want to buy from a 3 to 4 year point of view, yes, these are very good levels to get in. But over the next 6 months, it might just remain range bound. DMart, difficult to say. I would say buy after 6 months, probably in September, October, and above 4400. So, that's the call on DMart from my end. What is your question, Shri? I might have missed out. Kindly ask your query, Shri. So, are you asking about Indian hotels? Can you just elaborate on the company that you are asking on, IHCL? So I'll answer. See, I'll prefer Asian Paints rather than Berger, even for short term. So that that's the point. So Indian hotels, see, I like Lemon Tree even at these levels. Indian hotel may do well. Uh, my confusion here is that since the opening up thing happened and the cases reduced, the stocks have run up. So I don't know in the shorter term whether they will perform or not. Second thing is in the longer run, because of the high debt, etc. I'm not comfortable to invest into these. So take a call based on your analysis of the charts. I believe that the stock has run up a lot. All these stocks, they might not perform that well in the short run also. So that's my call. Yes, you can hold Kilpes for the next 2 years. I'm holding, so I disclaimer, I have it in my investment portfolio. I'll hold for the next 4 or 5 years. In the next 2 years, I expect Kilpes to hit new highs and go to 900, 800, 900. That would be the call. But if you hold 4 or 5 years, then the performance could end up being even better. So that's the call on something like a Kilpest. India pesticides, I believe that India pesticides is one of the stocks that could be doing better in the next 6 months, but there are other stocks like PI Industries, etc., that could do even better in this scenario. See, now HDFC Bank has run up, so I won't say that you buy into something like an HDFC Bank. What you can do is probably wait for the banking index to reduce and probably go down, and then take a call. See, HDFC Bank or Bajaj Finance or ICICI Bank and these kind of stocks are long term investments, and if you want to do that 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, yes, you can buy here. But for a trade, even for 1 year time frame, I don't see. I won't say that you could get into the stock in that manner. I would say avoid HDFC AMC, Prince Pipes or Prakash Pipes. I would say Astral. I would say Astral. Uh, on a Astral after a 1 or 2 quarter results, you'll get it probably at 1800 or so. Good levels to get into. See, I have always believed in this, and you could note that be with the leaders, and you'll be safe rather than buying into other companies. Yes, they look attractive, they may make you a lot of money, but if you make it a habit to buy into third fourth tier companies, then you lose a lot once or twice, and all your profits of earlier trades would go away. So be with leaders. Leader in the pipe space is Astral, so go with that on declines. I won't say that Zensar Tech could be a buy. If you have bought into it, wait for an IT rally to book profits and get into the stocks that I mentioned with respect to the mid cap IT space. Chemical stocks, difficult to say because I'm not tracking the space altogether. Probably Naveen Fluorine is something to look at, but really, I'm not following the chemical spree. Yes, Vinity Organics is one that looks good to me, but not from a 6 months point of view. From a 3 to 4 year point of view, it does look good. No, I would say, Danesh, avoid IEX for long or short term. I think the major move in the stock from 70 to 230 to 40 has already taken place. I know power is going to do well, and a lot of things have been said about it, but a lot of power stocks have gone up so much. So either you wait for massive declines in the market to get into these companies, or just avoid the company altogether. Just think that, okay, you have missed the bus, and the stocks have already performed well. I don't have a view on tips or Saregama. I don't track it, so I won't be able to comment. Yes, happiest minds, absolutely. You can hold now at very reasonable levels. I still believe the company over a long run should do extremely well. So if you're holding on to the stock, absolutely hold, and over the next 3 to 5 years, the company should do well. So SBI card, if you bought at 800, very good levels that you bought into. Oh, 800 is a good level to buy into. I'm sorry, and again, a company that should do well. It hasn't done well with the numbers, but over long term will do well. Short term, it's an avoid. That's the call. My view on all Adani stocks are that one should avoid. All are very expensive. Some are exorbitantly expensive, and I get scared looking at the prices of most of the Adani stocks. So that's the call, and that's why I've not talked about these companies at all. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot for being online. Please like and subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so you can get my videos straight away when I post it. And kindly support me on Patreon. Thank you.